Welcome everyone to the next interview here with Zoe Flowers on the summit we're doing 2025 and beyond, looking at the astrological energies, but also looking at just the energies and what the tarot has to say about it. I'm so excited to do this with you, Zoe. And just to give you a little background, I met Zoe about 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
almost 3 years ago, because because of if I think about my birthday coming up. Anyway, it was yeah. So at the time, I had done a video and Zoe had commented on it, and I saw the comment, and for some reason, I just felt inspired to go check her out. I don't, sometimes you get those nudges. And so I did, and then I saw she was doing tarot, and I saw that she was doing tarot. She was charged. I was 66 at the time, 66 years old. And actually, I was right before my 67th birthday, but I was still celebrating 66. So I was like, and she charged $66.66. And I was like, that's a sign. I have to do this for a half hour tarot reading. So we did I contacted her, we got everything set up, and then as we were doing, and she was just so amazing. I was just like, oh my God, I feel like we need to do videos together on the energies for the upcoming months. And so we started doing that. Zoe agreed. So cool. And and we've had so much fun doing that. And it just gets better all the time. We just have more fun all the time with you, Zoe. I love you. And I'm so excited for what you have to share about the upcoming energies, not just for the month, but for
Right.
25. So
Right.
so turning this over to you for you so you can share anything more about yourself or anything before we get started, and then looking at, I know you have several things that you want to look at in terms of the energy for 20.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited. And definitely the Kismet just jumped off right away when we had our first conversation. I can't even remember how long we were on the phone after your reading. Remember that?
Way longer than a half hour. Yes.
Definitely. We were just yakking and yakking. And so yeah, it's been really, really good for me as well. And I actually was talking about you yesterday when I had lunch with a few of my coven mates, and I was talking about how you reframe certain things in astrology and how, and I love astrology as well. And so I was talking about just how the way you talk about like house rulers not really being called rulers or different ways to look at eclipse energy and all of those things, how that has just inspired me to think about things in a new way. So I was just talking about you.
Oh, that's so great. I love that too, because it's like we want to get rid of rulership
Yeah.
and rules. Don't,
Yeah.
I think, I mean, rules are okay, but it's like, can we move beyond that and
Yeah.
maybe see it from a different perspective? And so I like to see what resonates, is what I like.
Yeah. Oh,
So
what resonates.
yeah.
Well, and now that we're saying that, and I think we should add this to the reading. Oh, maybe that's what this is about. Yeah, this is what it's about. Thinking about Pluto and Aquarius, because that feels very Pluto in Aquarius to me, sort of the reframing of the way we look at things, the way we categorize things. So as I was telling you, Spirit's given me a new way to do my readings where I'll get keywords and then I'll pull cards based on the keywords. So we have four, and four is like one of my numbers. Numerology is the foundation of everything. Love the number four, big fan. So we have four keywords here that are going to guide this reading. And so the first one is final player. Spirit just dumps these words in my mind. I'm like, what do you mean? But now that we're thinking about Pluto and Aquarius, which will be with us for what, 15,
Right
16,
here.
20 years? Yeah. So I think this is going to be more of that, more of the impact of Pluto in Aquarius over these next 20 years. So the first thing again I have is it's final player. I feel like it's a video game reference almost. I'm not a video game girl, but again, that's very Aquarius, like video games, future computers. Wow. And the card that I got was full moon in Libra, a
Ah,
win-win A win-win outcome is forecast with under this final player. This is making me feel like, sorry to drop Bible verses in here, but it's making me feel like that the last will be first and the first will be last vibe is what I'm getting here. A win-win outcome is forecast. So when we think about sort of Libra, I am a Libra sun. And Libra South Node. So when I think about sort of some of the things that Libra is associated with and the way to navigate this Aquarian energy, this Pluto and Aquarian energy, this transformative energy from a more sort of humanitarian, futuristic, innovative perspective. It's like what is best for all, which also could be thought of as being very Aquarian, a win-win. So stepping out of sort of the you versus me, Pluto and Capricorn energy, whereas it's so important that I be the final player, that I win. I'm getting here that that is not the vibe for where we're going. Where we're going, where we should be looking at, and where sort of will be more most beneficial, which is this is actually pretty common sense, is like what is the win-win outcome for everybody? What is the most just outcome for everyone? Again, just thinking about those Libra characteristics. What's the most sort of aesthetically pleasing outcome? But from sort of the inside out, moving from the superficial to getting deeper, getting more introspective, being more, I hate the word balanced. I'm thinking more of like ratio. Yeah. What am I putting in? What are you putting in? How can we put these things together for the best outcome for everybody? For everyone to be that final player, for everyone to win. The second word I have here is retro. Do you want to say anything before I go to the next card?
Oh, I just love what you just said. And
Okay.
piano player, yeah, it does sound like a video game. My kids were
It does, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Ready
And
Player
it's
One. I was trying to remember, like, I know there's a play or something that they did, Ready Player One, whatever. Anyway, but
Yeah, and oh, it's just starting to snow. Look at that. And I feel like the guidance here too with this video game thing is it's almost like the Florence Scovel Shinn book, The Game of Life and How to Play It. And so for us to really look at, there's so much conversation about like life being a simulation and a video game. And it's almost like not looking at things so seriously, not allowing ourselves to get like carried away in all of the chaos and the nonsense, but really sort of tapping into if this is a simulation and I am a player in this game, what are the steps that I can take to get the most beneficial outcome? So again, I guess coming back to that win-win forecast. So this retro, so I was hearing retro, I was like, is it retro? Is it retrograde? But it is definitely retro. Um, Okay, so we have here, I get it. Okay, so the first word we have here is putrefaction, shadow, and release. Okay, so when we think about retro, I'm feeling like what they're saying is go ahead and release those shadow aspects of the again community as a whole. We're stepping out of the individual. I'm talking about collectively. What shadows, what is in our collective shadow that we need to actively be releasing at this time, 2025 and beyond? And then we have conjunction here in order to be whole again.
right.
What things in our and isn't it interesting that it looks like they're standing on a globe?
Yes.
Doesn't it look like the Earth? That's the
It
Earth.
does look like
Holy
yeah.
smokes.
Yeah. Yeah. Releasing the shadow from the whole entire earth, from
Yeah,
ourselves and from the whole entire earth.
a
Yeah.
100%. And this also feels like a guardian. We have a skeleton here, standing on the earth. And this feels like a gatekeeper to the underworld almost. And the skeleton has a crown on it, which I find so interesting. So there may need to be some sort of, for people who do like death work, or death craft, there may be some ritual around that that needs to be done to help move the collective forward. There may be, again, a need to come together collectively to do this work in person, not online. I feel like a part of us becoming whole again has to do with us coming off of social media so much, coming off of texting so much, leaning on that so heavily, and finding ways to connect with each other IRL, using that computer language again in real life.
Right. Love that. Oh my gosh, I'm
Yeah.
also thinking that it's like the Pluto aspect, the death aspect, or
Yeah.
shadow
Oh,
release. It's like what are we dying to? What are we allowing ourselves to die to? Because it's
hmm.
in the way of us being more whole, as you were saying. It's in the way.
Yeah.
And we need to let that go. We need to release that. We need to,
Yeah.
um, take that journey into the underworld where all the treasures are, where all the gifts
Yeah.
are in the underworld.
Yeah.
We have to go there and face our fears and face our challenges and face the things that scare us to death.
Yeah. 100%. Literally scaring us to death. Like this can
Yes.
be a very scary feature or fiction. And I think that it's also like facing the death too, like you were saying, like really facing it head on, as a way to become whole, as a way to live. So those retro things, our comfortability, thinking about that South Node energy, really stepping out of like that past energy and really moving forward. Okay, then we have the word signature.
Hmm, love that.
So what do you mean by signature? I feel like I need two cards for this. Oh, well, that's cute. Okay, so we have guides here.
Ah, that looks like the symbol for Aquarius.
It sure does. We have guides here. So the key word is signature, and we have guides. And this feels to me like whoa, that literally flew out. Okay. That feels like our personal signature, our energetic signature here. Working with our guides, and then we have the chariot to bring the things together that need to be brought together. So, for me, the chariot is a card of success. However, it has to do with bringing lots of different things together. So it's not a quote unquote easy task because if we look at the chariot, the person who's driving the chariot does not have their hands on anything. They're not driving this chariot forward with their hands. They are using the cosmos, the energy of the cosmos. We have all of these stars around here. So they have to use lots of different things, lots of different aspects of the self to bring the desired outcome forward. And so I feel like working with our guides to steer us in the direction again that's in alignment with our soul signature, allowing our soul signature to bring us forward. And then we have the Hierophant in reverse. When it's in reverse, it's all about rebellion. When the Hierophant is in the upright, it represents tradition, it represents institutions. And obviously, if we look around, we see institutions have been crumbling left and right. And so there's a need for us to rebel. This can also be a card of inflexibility.
But if it's reversed, does it mean it's
It's
more?
when it's in reverse, it has to do with being inflexible.
Oh, it's
And so, and so we don't want that to be a part of our signature, that inflexibility. We want to stay malleable. We want to stay. So lots of like water drinking, lots of taking our omega. I'm not giving medical advice. I'm not a doctor, but I'm just saying paying attention to the bones, paying attention to like not allowing ourselves to be brittle in any way, right? So tending to, yeah, making our body more malleable, more oily, more sort of watery, which actually is kind of like that too, right? This kind
going
of
with
looks
the
like
flow.
this.
And I mean the since Aquarius is an air sign, we could say
Yeah.
that looks like that could be an electrical current. So that,
Mm.
although it is also Aquarius is also associated with the water bearer
Well,
constellation, but
that's true.
however, the Aquarius, the seasonal sign, is now in the constellation of Capricornus or the sea goat, no longer in the constellation of the water bearer. So
Yeah.
yeah, but there's this uh thought that the energy of how are we going to do it in a new way and be outside the old reality, like go into something new and completely different. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
this.
And so for that, we need to be following our guides. We need to be listening to our intuition. We need to be listening to all of those things. The last word we have is mastermind. Now, this is interesting to me because we have shift here. Um, which I feel like
It
this
looks
is
like
looks like the
the
Degas, right? The
that's
rune. Degas,
exactly what I
yeah.
was thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, very much. Very much looks like Degas to me. Which I actually think it is in this deck. And then we have the Fool. So we have mastermind, we have shift, and we have the fool. So the first thing that sort of came to mind is again being with other people, mastermind groups coming together collectively to grow the energy. But they're saying, but even more than that, it's like if we think about being a mastermind, masterminds are not most of the time inflexible,
Right.
hierophant in reverse. Masterminds allow themselves to shift their thinking. Masterminds allow themselves to be the fool, to take leaps of faith. I always say that the dog in here is the primal part of ourselves, allowing our that primal part of us to take center stage as we put the pieces together. And even the colors are super similar, like yellow, new beginnings, new ways of being in the world.
Yeah,
I also, Mhm,
I'll just add quickly that the fool is not really a fool. There's those people observing the fool feel like he's a fool. So that's kind of a projection onto,
mhm,
because the fool jumping empty-handed into the void flies. The fool
mhm.
is not necessarily beholden to the same rules of this reality that, because it's gone beyond the rules of this reality, which kind of brings us back to the whole rule thing again. So that's kind of
Right, right.
cool.
And it's more about and also more about their innocence, right? Like not worrying about everything that's gonna go wrong. Again, going back to this like mainframe idea, this computer game idea, this mastermind. It's almost like zooming out to look at our lives, the pieces of our lives. And what I'm getting here is this reading is about putting pieces of a puzzle together. And you kind of have to zoom out and look down to see what needs to be shifted. Where do you need to take a leap of faith? But also because in every card, there is a warning, there's a gift, and there's a warning. So it's like, we're not just jumping off of cliffs willy-nilly, right? We are going to investigate, well, what parts of my personality need to shift, right? Like what needs to die? Where do I need to become whole again? Or what are the opportunities for me to be whole again? And then having that information will make us more comfortable taking that leap. The thing I also say about this card all the time is if you look at this person, they just have a little bag, right? They don't have a whole bunch of stuff. Because you're taking a journey like this, you can only bring so much with you. The other card I have here, which is also interesting to me, is the Seven of Cups, which has to do with illusion, choices, wishful thinking. And so I feel like there will be still a lot of confusion in the energy moving forward, a lot of false facts, false things appearing real. In the energy right now. I don't know if Kaylin, there's something you want to say about that astrologically, like why there's so much confusion.
Well, there's a couple of things. I mean, Neptune, of course, in the last degrees of Pisces, going into Aries, coming back into Pisces. and Pisces and Neptune are most alike or most resonant. And so the challenge that they both represent is the illusions and confusion that comes from that. And but also the ability to connect to pure source energy.
Mm.
And then there could be confusion around that. It's like if I can choose anything and if I can pick anything and I have access to all of it, what do I pick? So there can be that. But I want to come also back to the Fool and say that this just came into my head, and it's like following our guides and it thinking about the guides aspect of it and going to the edge. And so there's a little poem that said, "Come to the edge," she said. And they're,
Mm.
no, 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 come to the edge, she said. And they're, no, they're too afraid. They're come to the edge, she said. So they came, she pushed them, and they flew.
Wow.
I think about that as like, okay, if your guide is pushing you to the edge or bringing you to the edge, is kind of like what the cards are saying is like if your guides are bringing you to the edge of some place you're not comfortable and you're absolutely scared and you need to face that fear and then you're going to get that push to go into something new and different and maybe something you've never even considered before. So that's just the thought that was
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that super duper resonates with me because by the time people see this reading, I will be in Canada. And I don't like the cold. And so it's like, why the heck would I be taking myself to the tundra in January where I'll be for several months? Well, it's just the guides. Because there's no reason why I wouldn't be going to Jamaica
Right.
where I could kick my feet up and be in the sand and frolicking. No, I'm going to Canada. So it's like, again, just literally just following whatever where the guides are taking me, right? Literally pushing me to the edge
Yes,
because there's
beautiful.
so many unknowns,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So we'll see
And
how that plays
that
out.
it'll be fun to hear about what happens for you there because it's probably going to be high magic and amazing.
Right, clearly. And I'm leaving on the day of the Magi, speak, which you
Right.
told me.
Yes.
So there's that. So I think that we're still global, and then these last two, well, three cards, I'll do four cards, will be individual. So we have the Eight of Pen. Oh, this makes so much sense. The Eight of Pentacles in reverse. This makes so much sense because when this is in the upright, it has to do with talent, mastery, but AKA hard work. Capricorn, Earth sign, very much empire building, working, resilient. It makes sense that this would be in reverse because people are tired, people are quiet quitting, people ain't trying to do a whole bunch of work. It's just like I'm over it. Like, no. So this makes a lot of sense. And then we have the Ace of Swords here in reverse, destruction, fighting, conflict. Again, no surprises here, right? People feeling also drained because of all of the things that are happening in the world with the sword of truth upside down. So, yes, it's going to be more of that.
Right.
No surprises,
I mean,
right?
no,
No surprises.
there. That's
Obvious, right? So, like Stevie Wonder could see
pretty
that
obvious,
happen.
yes.
Yeah, that's like whatever. So we know that, right? So those are sort of the global things, but they also gave us the homework first. I like that they gave us the homework first, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, and like more of the same," right? But we have a remedy to deal with more of the same. And so now we started collective and now we're going down to the individual, right? Macro down to the micro. So again, full moon in Sagittarius. Hello, Sagittarius season. Um, Look at the bigger picture. Already talked about this. Zooming out and looking down at that game board and figuring out what needs to be shifted and changed. So, oh, and it makes also sense that it comes after this destruction and this eight of, right? Maybe, looking at this Eight of Pentacles, this lack of motivation, maybe reframing it and looking at it. If we're feeling tired, if we're feeling low or whatever, an instruction is like shoring up on the things that make us feel good, shoring up on our veggies, making sure we're doing our water, like doing all of those like mundane things to keep our bodies moving forward, but also not beating ourselves up for this tired energy, understanding again, it makes perfect sense. There's a lot of things happening. And so if your energy is feeling low, don't forget to look at the bigger picture. Don't make a huge story beating yourself up about why you don't feel motivated, right? Understand that things are crumbling to be rebuilt. It's okay to take a break. Don't forget to look at the bigger picture, okay? And then we have,
Curious, I just
mhm,
want to say before we move on, is that happens I think it's happening in June this year, prior to the solstice. Sometimes it happens at the end of May, but I think it's happening in early June. And so,
okay.
just right before the solstice. So there may be something also connected to that time for people to tune into, and also go out and be with the full moon and see what
Mhm.
information there has, because it's like the moon is coming from the bigger picture. Yeah.
Literally, full moon card
Above us,
sitting right there.
seeing everything from way up above us. I mean, we can watch it rise and go across the sky, but anyway, that's just a something that feels like perhaps it's pointing to the fact that it might be worth paying attention to the full moon in Sagittarius.
Well, considering that the full moon was sitting here too, I wasn't even going to talk about this card, but it's right here. You brought it up, so there it is. Do full moon stuff. And then we have another full moon in Cancer.
Oh, which will happen right after the full, no, I'm sorry, which is about to happen at the end of 2024. And we're uh, recording this prior to the end of the year. So that, I don't know, interesting.
Okay, well, that's interesting. So that makes me feel like perhaps some of this work, quote unquote, that could be done. Oh no, it'll be too late. It'll
Yeah.
be too late. Time to hear this. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
something may have gotten activated then.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe because it says a personal issue reaches a conclusion. So maybe looking back at sort of where you were at the end of 2024,
Oh,
um,
actually,
what
it's
doors closed?
going to be in early 2020. I think it's going to be right at the new year when
Oh, really?
this won't air until after that, so it still will be after. So never
It'll
mind.
be after, but it'll still be interesting for people to look back
Yeah.
and be like, oh, what doors maybe began to close? Or, yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. So that's what we have there. And then I'll just do two more cards and we'll wrap up. I want to give a crystal ally. So a crystal that we can work with um, during this time. Well,
Beautiful.
hello, Desert Rose that flew out. Okay. So Desert Rose,
Oh, I love that.
this card, there's no accidents, resonates to Scorpio and Pluto. The planet Pluto and the sign of Scorpio. That is what this crystal resonates to. And it says time travel, ancestral healing, and patience. A natural beauty desert rose and its petals were patiently etched by the sand, carrying with them a special message that good things take time. I feel like that links us back to that mastermind energy, that looking at the bigger picture, understanding that these things take time, that these systems that we're so frustrated with took a long time to be put in place, and they're going to take a long time for these things to be rebuilt. Right? So, baking in patience, understanding that that is super important. Desert Rose promotes mental clarity, important, by releasing negative belief systems that no longer serve you. Has the special power of time travel and is able to heal past wounds that still affect you to this day. So, again, linking us back to that shadow release message that we got that still affects you today and alleviates pain from this lifetime or past life. Use this stone to connect with your ancestors or past selves you need to reconcile with. So, again, let's go right back to the graveyard. So, hello, graveyard.
Oh, that's so,
Hello, ancestors,
yes.
right?
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Wow.
I'm
And
just throwing the cards at this point.
one of the things you and I were talking about before we started this recording was how Venus creates the rose pattern in the sky. Something
Mhm.
happening in 2025 is Venus is shifting from being in one, like the point of the five-pointed star is shifting, it's going to rise in a new sign on March 29th. It's rising, instead of rising in Aries, it's going to be rising in Pisces. And I've been geeking out about this. Well, there'll definitely be a whole um, summit talk about that as well.
Fabulous.
Anyway,
Fabulous.
yeah, but the that rose pattern is that
Yeah.
so good, so good. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. Just spirit playing with us as always. So, I would say, I have never heard of this particular crystal. It may be easy to get.
I have
So
one.
perhaps you do?
I do.
I've never heard of it before, but I'm curious about maybe getting my hands on some.
Yeah.
Have on hand again, especially for this time travel, this ancestor healing work. Might be cute to put on your ancestor altar if you have one. Again, if you have some Scorpio placements, as I have several, Pluto placements could be good for you. Kaylin's raising her hand, she does too. So then we have our crystal ally for this time frame. And then the last thing that we'll do, we'll just get a cute little message from the birds, a nice affirmation to carry us through. So what's our ally? What's our winged ally? Okay. All right. This is fine. We have the pheasant. The time is ripe for creation and connection. Focus your attention on these areas. That works.
Yeah. Pheasant. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Focusing on what we want to create, focusing on our connections to other people. I feel like that is a nice wrap up for this conversation. And then the other card we have is Magpie, which has to do with reevaluating priorities. It's time to let go of what you no longer need. So they're just at this point, they're just saying the same thing over and over again.
Well, so okay, I
Yeah.
don't know if I should say this or not, but I
Yeah.
can't. So whatever. But my father used to hunt pheasants.
Okay.
And he also had a magpie save his life when he was in the Korean War, and somebody was a sniper was trying to shoot at him uh, from some trees, and a magpie flew into the tree where the sniper was, and my dad was able to then escape and not. I think he wound up killing the sniper. Anyway, he wrote a story about it for Field and Stream magazine back in the 1950s, and so magpie was like his animal. And pheasant, I remember him hunting pheasants, and I'd get so mad when I was a little kid. I'd yell at him for killing them.
I mean, I literally have goosebumps. That is wild because I almost didn't read Magpie, but so clearly we've got some ancestor work here, like showing
Like,
up. Like,
exactly. So I was like, okay, still working
what?
on my dad stuff.
Obviously.
Right?
Holy
So,
mo I can't. I
yeah,
can't with that. It's
I
too
know. I've
much.
got chills. I'm just like, okay,
I I
amazing.
literally have chills. Like we have to timestamp that
Oh,
for people.
my parents used to love to tell the story about when I saw my dad kill a pheasant, and they and then they had a dog that went and got it and brought it back and put it in the car, and I was screaming. I was like three. I was screaming. I was like, "Dirty old daddy, dirty old Bango, dirty old Maxie," the name of the dog, dirty,
Oh,
silly pretty birdie, and I was crying and mad and
oh
upset.
my
I
gosh.
was so upset. And then my mom was taking all the feathers off of the bird to
Yeah. Yeah.
and and I was like, "Ooh, chicken."
Once it was all done.
Like suddenly I had a different perspective. Literally, I
Yeah.
was 8 years old, so but yeah,
Wow. Well, listen,
there you go.
I, the ancestors done come through. We did all
Hey,
this ancestor work. Like, thank you.
yeah.
That's lit. I love it. Wow. Well, that is a fitting end of this part of the conversation because, our work will just go on and on and on. So I'm just grateful to be here.
So great to have you here, Zoe. Thank you so much. I
Yeah.
feel like these energies and we've been doing ancestral work for a long time, but to continue, obviously.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also, just my final question for you is do you have any offers or anything that you want to share with people about what you're doing or a free offer that people can get uh, to wrap this up?
Yeah. So I would say reaching out to me. directly. I'm doing some readings and things like that at definitely discounted rates. And I'm working on freebies for 2025. I'm not sure what they are yet, but you can reach out to me definitely. I think I should
You
create a
can put links
code.
also.
Yeah, I think I should
There'll
create
be
a
links in the
code.
show notes. There'll be links on the page
Yeah.
where your video is going to be posted and all of that. So
Yeah, and maybe I can create a hashtag for like hashtag summit. And so then I'll know that the folks came and they can get their offer.
that's
So
all beautiful.
yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, this was so good. I feel it gets me. I mean, of course, yes, it's not going to be an easy year. Clearly, not going to be an easy.
Mm-mm.
I mean,
No, no.
but there's so much, I feel like so much hope. And also, if we're willing to step up and face the fears and do the things and clear the ancestral things that still need to
Yeah,
be cleared, or maybe it's just accepting them for what they are and not being
yeah,
to them any longer. Because I feel like that's maybe where I'm at with that. Like I've done a lot of ancestral healing work. Uh,
yeah,
and I always feel like there's more. And but maybe that's not it. Maybe it's that we're just get to that place where we can just be in that place of love and really understand that our ancestors did the best they could
and
with.
maybe it's too a part of that mastermind energy, that puzzle energy, and figuring out um, where they fit in the puzzle of creation and co-creation, and where we fit in that puzzle, and what will get us to that win-win outcome.
Yes. Oh, so beautiful way to wrap this up because it's about win-win, not about having to be winning and others losing. Oh, so done
Hmm.
with that. So yeah,
Hmm.
love that.
Yeah,
Win-win.
yeah.
Okay. So
All right.
thank you, Zoe. Hope this was
Thank
helpful.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.